So we talked about the issues with food waste and how massive it is and how unfortunate it is. So I wanted to include one example of an organized effort to reduce food waste and try to meet the SDG to cut food waste by 50% by 2030. This is ReFED.org, which is very much a US based, US focused effort, but they are so well organized in terms of implementation, data, stakeholder engagement, policy ideas, solutions, that I wanted to use it as an example, which obviously will have transferable ideas to other countries and regions. What's needed? $14 billion investment annually. 2 billion they envision will come from the public, 10 billion from private, and 2 billion from philanthropic. So they have 40 plus solutions lined up there in terms of analysis. Waste reduction, 45 million annual food waste diversion in tons, and impact per year will be 73 billion net financial benefit. So you know what you are getting for this investment annually. 4 trillion gallons in water savings, so an externality that is a co-benefit. 75 million tons in greenhouse gas emission reductions in million tons CO2 equivalent. So the non-CO2 gases have been converted to CO2 equivalent using the global warming potential and so on. 4 billion meals for people in need. 51k jobs created through solution implementation over 10 years. So it's a well thought out effort, and they have a guide for tracking action, roadmap to 2030, reducing US food waste by 50%. Food waste is a system-wide problem, and solving it will require system-wide response. ReFED's roadmap to 2030 looks at the entire food supply chain and identifies 7 key action areas showing where the food system must focus its efforts over the next 10 years. Plus, it includes a detailed financial analysis to help direct the private, public, and philanthropic capital investments needed to fund these efforts. In line with the Target Measure Act framework for food waste reduction that's been adopted around the world, Target Measure Act. And building on our landmark 2016 roadmap to reduce US food waste, the roadmap to 2030 is a comprehensive blueprint to help food businesses, governments, funders, non-profits, and more to take action. They have Insights Engine, which is informing the roadmap. Suddenly I got a frog in my throat. 2030, ReFED's new Insights Engine offers a deep dive analysis of 40 plus food waste reduction solutions that spans all 7 key action areas. And there are some other details here that I won't go into. The report lists, or the site lists, a few things about the impact of uneaten food, climate and resources. When food goes uneaten, the resources used to produce it go waste, obviously, land, fertilizers, especially water. If all of our country's surplus food was grown in one place, this mega farm would cover roughly 80 million acres, over 3/4 of the state of California in the United States alone. Surplus food is responsible for 4% US greenhouse gas emissions, 14% of all freshwater use, 18% of all cropland use, 24% of landfill inputs. This is number one material in EPA estimates. Okay, so you can imagine it's got cascading effects on all of these things. 1 in 6 Americans are food insecure. So you have food access, and then you have Americans who are food insecure. Food security, because of the impact of COVID-19, the number of people struggling with food insecurity grew in 2020 to more than 50 million, according to Feeding America. A significant portion of wasted food is perfectly edible and could go to help those in need. So you can imagine the number for such a rich country is stunningly high. Economically speaking, in 2019, surplus food was valued at $408 billion. Of this, 70%, around 285 billion, was due to food waste. Wow. While the financial cost of uneaten food is greatest for consumers, the food industry lost $250 billion, with restaurants and other food service businesses shouldering the greatest burden. So here you have 408 billion total value of surplus food, food waste 285 billion, 75%, recycled 113 billion, but only 28%, and donated food amount is only 2% at $10 billion. These efforts are of course still very valuable, especially if they can continue to have a scale-up effect and peer pressure effects and so on to reduce the waste. Roadmap to 2030 from ReFED looks like this. This is focused again on reducing US food waste by 50%. They look at the key action areas. So these are the 7 areas we already mentioned where the food system must focus its efforts over the next 10 years to prevent, rescue, and recycle food at risk of going to waste. So it has prevention, solutions, levers, and then stakeholder recommendations. The 7 areas include optimizing harvest, enhance product distribution, refine product management, maximize product utilization, reshape consumer environments, strengthen food rescue, and recycle anything remaining. Okay, solutions, of course, within each action area are a range of solutions, including those that we have modeled using key data points, promising solutions that we are still gathering data on, and promising solutions that we are still gathering data on, and best practices that many organizations have already worked into their operations. Levers include policy, include financing, policy, innovation, and engagement, as we'll see in a minute. And stakeholder recommendation come from producers, manufacturers, retailers, food service, and policymakers, as well as capital providers. And the list of top 10 solutions, we will look at a longer list at the end, includes financial benefits in terms of the top 10, waste reduced top 10, and GHG emissions avoided in million ton CO2 top 10. So they can be slightly different. So portion sizes, meal kits, consumer education campaigns, enhanced demand planning, donation education, and so on in terms of net financial benefits. In terms of tons of waste diverted, centralized composting, centralized anaerobic digestion, co-digestion at wastewater treatment plants, and also includes donation education, which is also in this list here. In terms of greenhouse gas emissions avoided in million ton CO2, you have again portion sizes, meal kits, consumer education campaigns, centralized composting, and so on. So you can go to their website and read the complete list, which I'm not going to read here. In terms of solutions, the ReFED Insights engine features a deep dive analysis of more than 40 food waste reduction solutions spanning our 7 key action areas. Some are simple, some are more complex, some are existing best practices, and some are brand new breakthroughs. Many have a strong potential for investment returns, and others are already being implemented successfully by organizations that are actively seeking funding partners to help scale their efforts. You can look up the solutions on the website in the link provided, but they include modeled solutions for which a quantitative estimate of effectiveness in diverting food waste, as well as cost and benefit expectations to multiple stakeholders, were able to be compiled based on data from solution providers, scientific studies, and expert guidance. There are unmodeled solutions, additional solutions for which we identify their key action area and the stakeholders who would benefit from or incur a cost of implementation. Best practices, interventions which are either not clearly definable as a specific solution, such as incremental improvement of existing common processes or solutions that have already been implemented by sufficiently large number of stakeholders such that there is little additional opportunity for them to address food waste that is still happening in the US today. Okay, the levers again include financing, policy, innovation, and engagement. I won't read these details. You can go on the website and read them, but these are the essential tools that can facilitate the implementation and scaling of food waste reduction solutions. But some examples can be looked at for policy. Disincentivize, limit, or ban food from landfills. Incentivize innovations that reduce food waste. Expand federal food donation enhanced tax deduction, or create state level tax incentives for nonprofit sales and transportation services to reduce waste. Expand farm to food bank programs. Okay, seems simple but still very useful. What are some of the stakeholder recommendations from producers? They focused on identify alternative markets, propose new buyer arrangements, establish donation channels, participate in emerging tools and efforts. So producers may be well aware that they are wasting food, but they cannot go around looking for donation channels. Somebody has to facilitate the link between donation acceptors and producers who want to donate their excess food and waste, for example. Manufacturers focus on upcycling byproducts, optimizing manufacturing lines, improving package design, recharge distressed sales, and allowing donations. Okay, so finally here are the full ReFED solution analysis, which focuses on net financial benefit, tons of waste diverted, and greenhouse gas emissions, as we already saw. And again, these include items like portion sizes, meal kits, trayless, these things, small plates and trayless, for example, make people a little bit more sensitive about how much they're putting on their plate. Okay, and it works. Assisted distressed sales, and then you have home composting, community composting, livestock feed, and so on. Obviously I'm not reading the whole list, but you get the idea. So I wanted to include this in following the food waste problem, because this is a solution that is well organized and is got a roadmap to 2030 to meet SDG 14, which is really great. Okay, so let's leave it here. Sorry, that is SDG 12, sustainable production and consumption, and not SDG 14. SDG 14 is focused on oceans. Okay, sorry about that.